We're gonna get started. I feel like everyone knows. Well, for those who don't, we have a podcast called I've Got Something to Tell You, where Colleen will tell a true crime story and I'll tell a paranormal story. So, does that explain everything well enough?
Yeah. So we're a true crime paranormal podcast. Something we like to tell something about us, though, is that we do giggle. I'm going to use Jacob as an example. Sorry, Jacob. But we're going to laugh at some things. We're never laughing at the victims. You know, we're a true crime podcast. There's going to be giggles, but we are always going to say that the people that commit these crimes are fair game. So embrace the giggles. They could come from nervous laughter. They can come from just genuinely we think we're funny, or that we just have this best friend energy that see.
Feel free to laugh.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
Just kidding. So I'm going to go first. And I was telling Colleen that she actually suggested this one to me, but I don't know if you remember or not, but we're going to talk about Krampus today.
Oh.
Was that what you thought I was going to say? What did you think?
I was going to ask you if we had talked about it on the podcast or off the podcast. Mm-hmm. I thought you might be doing that graveyard where the Pope wanted to fly over.
Where the what?
Never mind. I'll give you content for your next story.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to get into my story. And like I said, we're going to be covering Krampus. So Krampus is one of the oldest and most unsettling figures in Alpine folklore. A creature said to wander the snowy streets of Austria, Germany, and parts of Central Europe during the Christmas season. And he's often described as the dark counterpart to St. Nicholas. Where St. Nick rewards the good and Krampus comes for the bad.
So he's St. Dick.
St. Dick. He is. He was also said to be a protector of the forest, but a punisher of humans. With curling horns, shaggy fur, a long pointed tongue, and hooves, Krampus looks like something torn straight out of a nightmare. He rattles chains as he walks, sometimes dragging them along the ground to announce his arrival. So he immediately has obnoxious energy.
I love that he's making an entrance.
I know. It's like, pick me. Pick me, girl. And he also carries birch branches used to whack people with. So he's just whacking people and making noise. In some legends, he even hauls a basket on his back meant for carrying off the truly wicked. So that must be a pretty big basket. So the origins of Krampus stretch back long before Christianity reached the Alps. Many historians believed he evolved from ancient pre-Christian nature spirits or pagan winter demons tied to seasonal rites. These rituals centered around survival during harsh winters, a time when fear, scarcity, and superstition shaped everyday life. When Christianity spread through Europe, the church tried to suppress the old pagan traditions but couldn't fully erase them. So Krampus was folded into the St. Nicholas festivities as a warning figure. The result created a striking duality. December 5th became Krampusnacht, which means the night of Krampus. And that's just where he roams freely. Freely? While December 6th celebrates St. Nicholas and generosity. Over time, the lore grew even more dramatic. Some stories say Krampus can appear outside homes, peering through frost-covered windows to watch children and decide their fate. Others claim he can slip through chimneys or sneak into bedrooms, his claws scraping softly on wooden floors. Could you imagine being a kid and just thinking it's Santa and then it's Krampus coming down the chimney? Trauma. In many villages, people dress as Krampus and parade through the streets, chasing onlookers and whipping them, creating chaos in a tradition that mixes fear and festivity. Though terrifying, Krampus is also strangely beloved. During the Krampus celebration...
By who?
I mean, they have an entire... Have you seen these Krampus celebrations?
No.
Okay, they're scary.
I remember the Office episode.
Wait, I don't remember that one.
I thought Dwight like threw Krampus.
He did. Okay, I do remember that.
I can't watch it. It's too scary.
No, these costumes look legit. Like, it's from a movie or something.
Oh my god.
It's really scary, and they're literally chasing people and whipping them down the streets. So people would wear hand-carved masks as tradition while parading through the streets. And one of the most unsettling things about that is the masks aren't believed to just be for costume, they're believed to be vessels.
No.
Old mask carvers claim the spirit of Krampus could enter a mask during or after its creation, and that when someone puts it on, the human stops being fully themselves and becomes a temporary host for something much more ancient.
So these people choose to put this mask on?
They sure do. They're like, let's just see what happens.
This is in
I don't know.
Austria? And Germany?
It's in like different parts of Europe. But yeah, Austria and Germany.
Germany
Two of
makes
them.
sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the masks were said to grant strength and even protection, but they carried the risk of just like being possessed. Some families believed that if a mask started hold on, rewind. Acting wrong.
Are you a vessel right now? What's going on?
Am I being possessed by Krampus? I don't know. Wait and see. So if the mask started acting wrong, it had to be burned before it caused harm. In several alpine villages, masks are kept locked in wooden chests throughout the year because locals say they wake up if left out in the open, which I don't know what wake up means, but I don't want to find out. Over the centuries, stories have spread of these masks shifting expression when no one is looking, moving from where they were placed, producing low growls or scraping noises at night, and even causing vivid nightmares to anyone who sleeps too close to them. Just sleeping next to your mask.
They choose to do this?
They do.
Again,
I
Germany
don't understand.
Germans.
So, in the older, lesser-known branches of Krampus lore, he isn't just a punisher of misbehaving children. He's a being intertwined with the underworld and the restless dead. Some alpine communities believe the chains he drags were never meant for kids at all, but for roaming spirits during the darkest nights of winter. Krampus was said to ride with the Wild Hunt, which was a ghostly procession that sweeps across the winter sky, collecting lost souls. These darker versions of the legend hint at the roots older than Christmas itself, possibly tying Krampus to ancient Norse underworld mythology. So, some people argue that Krampus may never have been a single creature to begin with at all, but an entire class of winter spirits. Descriptions vary dramatically across the Alps. In one village, he's a massive horned demon with hooves that we just talked about. And in another, he's a smaller, quicker, almost goblin-like.
I love a goblin.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I'd rather take the other one. I don't.
Really?
An evil goblin coming down your chimney?
Cute.
No.
What?
A goblin?
You want a demon horned thing?
I would take that over the goblin.
Okay.
Can we do a show of hands? Who would rather have a goblin? Goblin? Really?
Thanks,
Your dad? He's just doing that because he felt bad.
I'm shocked.
Green Goblin.
Cute.
Not the Green Goblin.
You guys want a giant demon roided out thing that's coming down here? Okay, that's actually pretty metal, so.
You know what? Screw the goblin.
Okay, yeah, I take it back. I've been proven wrong.
His appearance shifts from century to century and from mountain valley to mountain valley as each community is remembering a different member of the same species. The locals even use different names, each representing a slightly different manifestation of the same ancient force. In this multiple Krampus theory, winter becomes not the domain of a single monster, but a season when many old spirits roam the snowy world, each with its own temperament, purpose, and role in the shadowy balance between the living and the dead. which is so much more scary. And we're going to end with 2 Krampus encounters, because we have to. What?
Nothing.
Okay. So, the first one. In 2013, during the Night of Krampus in Austria, a family reported something that still unsettles them today. Dozens of performers were running through the streets dressed as Krampus, cracking whips and dragging chains, all normal for the festival, but one figure stood out. He was taller than the others, towering nearly a head over the rest, with fur that looked damp and matted and horns that seemed far too heavy to be a part of any costume. The family remembered how he moved differently, not in a playful, theatrical way the performers usually do, but with a slow, deliberate walk, almost gliding across the ground. At one point, he stopped in front of a little girl, leaned down, and simply just stared at her. No breathing through a mask, no shifting or adjusting of a costume, just silence. When her father stepped in front of her, the creature turned and slipped into an alleyway. Moments later, other performers ran by, but none of them remembered seeing someone that tall or wearing anything close to that costume design. When the family checked footage later, the tall figure didn't appear on the recordings at all.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no thanks. Okay, and then encounter number 2. In the late 1990s, a man staying in a remote cabin near the Carpathian Mountains claimed he experienced something he couldn't explain on the night of December 5th, which is Krampus's night. A snowstorm had rolled in, and the winds were so fierce he couldn't sleep. Around midnight, he heard bells outside, not church bells or sleigh bells, but heavy, uneven, clanging like old metal cowbells being dragged across the snow. What?
More cowbell.
I knew you were going to say that. So when he peered out through the frosty window, he saw a large dark figure walking between the tree line and the cabin. It was hunched forward, but even then it stood unnaturally tall. The man swore the figure had long horns that curled like a ram's and that steam rose from its body in the cold air. And at one point, the creature paused and turned its head towards the window.
What if it, like, turned its head backwards?
Like it just started doing The Exorcist?
Yeah.
And it's like he knew it was watching him.
Ew.
He ducked instantly, heart pounding, and he stayed hidden until the bells faded into the distance. The next morning, he found enormous hoof-like impressions in the snow circling his cabin, far larger than any animal native to the area.
Hate that.
Yeah, I don't love that either. So that wraps up the story of Krampus.
So
Hope you enjoyed.
So December 5th is Krampus night?
Hold on, let me check my source, which is my own.
It's 3 days ago.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, December 5th is Krampus night, and December 6th is like St. Nicholas.
Yeah. So did you celebrate?
I forgot. I didn't know about Krampus night until I researched that.
Okay, Tayler and everyone, I've got something to tell you. And, you know, we've done a lot of cases on this podcast, but every now and then, as time goes by, one comes my way that will just fly me to the moon. And if you got those references, you may applaud yourself. If you didn't, those are Frank Sinatra songs.
If you didn't, what is wrong with you? Just kidding.
Tayler, I know you didn't. So tonight I am covering a case that directly impacted old Blue Eyes himself, the chairman of the board and the father of our focus tonight. I am covering the kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr.
Whoa.
This has been one of my favorite cases to research.
I'm excited.
So while this story is technically about Frank Sinatra Jr., and no disrespect, but he might actually be the least interesting part of it, because the person we really need to talk about is the man with the plan, the man who decided that kidnapping a celebrity son was the solution to all of life's problems. That man was Barry Keenan. Barry Keenan grew up in Los Angeles in the 1940s in a neighborhood where the houses were neat, the lawns were trimmed, and the Catholic guilt was prevalent. His family was comfortably upper middle class, the kind who went to church regularly and believed strongly in structure and rules. Barry was a quiet kid, but not withdrawn. He was thoughtful, serious. He absorbed everything in a way that most kids don't. And because he went to Catholic school, the teachings he absorbed were intense. One day, when he was around 7, the nuns at his school explained hell in such vivid detail that it didn't just scare him, it literally put the fear of God into him.
No.
The fear of going to hell scared him so much that he ended up riding his bike straight into the middle of the street, thinking if he died young enough, he'd be guaranteed a spot in heaven before he had the chance to sin.
Why is he so afraid of going to hell? What's he planning?
They scared him so bad. Yeah.
Okay.
So he survived, but this decision he made at such a young age is very distinctive on the type of logic he will take into his adulthood. So now as Barry grew up, he started seeing things. It started when he was about 10, wandering his house, and he goes into the basement where he hears the voice of an angel. Not Sinatra yet, but a literal angel. Over time, the voice turned into a full-blown apparition of an angel that was very real to Barry. One angel turned to many, and over time, these angels became what he later called the committee.
Okay.
The committee is a group he believed listened to him, advised him, and helped him make decisions. He trusted them deeply. He had no reason not to. Except once he mentioned the committee to an aunt in passing, and she immediately told him that this was something he should probably keep to himself. So he did, but their presence never went away. The committee was always there. As Barry entered his teenage years, it's the 1950s, considered the golden era, he ends up going to University High School, which during this time a lot of celebrity kids went to, including Nancy Sinatra. Barry ends up joining a fraternity-style group of guys called the Barons. Remember these guys.
Okay.
And the Barons were like where it was at. They threw the parties, they got all of the girls, but more importantly, they had each other's backs. The Baron code was something they took super seriously, and if a Baron needed help, the others showed up. By the time he graduated, Barry discovered he had a real talent for business. Numbers made sense to him, patterns made sense. The stock market became something he understood intuitively. He found early success after graduating and became the youngest member of the Los Angeles Stock Exchange. And for a while, things quieted down. Angel Committee steps back, he gets married, he starts adulting, but then he gets into an accident, a car crash, and it changes him forever. He was badly injured, thrown into chronic pain, and he's handed painkillers without hesitation. This was now the 1960s. Doctors didn't care about dependence or long-term effects. You were hurt, they gave you pills, you take them, you get addicted. So after the accident and the pills, Barry starts losing control. His marriage falls apart, his finances wobble, and he falls deeper into his pill addiction. Now, I do want to tell you something super important about Barry. This man always bounces back.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. So yes, woe is Barry, but he will find a way out of it. So he's struggling and spiraling, and that's when the Committee of Angels comes back stronger than ever. And this time they bring backup. They bring in freaking God.
Whoa.
So Barry's out driving one afternoon, exhausted and hurting, and trying to think his way out of his financial disaster. A thought crosses his mind, if I could just make one big hit, everything would be okay. I could fix all of this. And that's when a voice comes through the radio in his car, a radio that hasn't worked for months, and Barry knows exactly who it is. It's God. So Barry and God throw a few ideas around, maybe robbing a bank or a store. But they're brainstorming.
It's like we could do those.
Yeah, but neither of those plans really get the money that Barry needs because Barry has already done the math. Very serious, very precise man math. And he has landed on the number $240,000.
Okay.
That is the number he needs to get himself out of the troubles that he's in. Now, he's not only thinking about himself, his father was also drowning financially, and Barry was determined to save him. He wanted to fix everything, his own life, his father's burdens, wrap all the broken pieces into a nice, clean solution. So that $240K wasn't random to him, it was, in Barry's mind, the exact amount required to solve everything. So God is like, I hear you, you've got a number, here's what we do.
Is that
Kidnapped.
still on the radio?
Still on the radio.
Oh.
Yeah. Not an app.
No, you said kidnaps?
You think he downloaded an app to talk to God?
kidnaps.
God tells him we gotta kidnap somebody.
Does it have an app?
You're like, where do I get it? Apple Store? So he's like, we're not gonna hurt them. We're just gonna temporarily remove them from their life, collect the ransom, and then send them back and then rebuild everything that Barry and his father have lost. In Barry's mind, this is not a crime. This is a divine assignment with a budget. So here's the thing, though, is that God has rules, and Barry took these very seriously. So in the kidnapping, it could not be a woman. It could not be a child. The money had to be repaid at some point, and nobody could get hurt. This is where Barry's very particular logic kicks in. He starts researching famous kidnappings, specifically how kidnappers got caught. He studies mistakes, patterns, police procedures, all in an attempt to design what he believes will be the first perfectly ethical kidnapping. He studies ransom notes, communication strategies, even where previous kidnappers hid their victims. He analyzes every failure so he can avoid repeating any of them, all while also getting advice from the committee and God himself. So Barry gets to a point where he feels like he has a very solid plan, except for one key component. Who should his target be? He decides it has to be someone famous enough, wealthy enough, someone the family and authorities would care enough and have the resources to just pay the money to get them back fast. They'd want to keep it hush-hush, and $240K would be pocket money. So first, he considers Bob Hope's son. Bob Hope, do you know?
Yeah.
Do you?
I know the name.
Okay. Bob Hope was a beloved, wealthy, and very public figure. He would have the money and the response time Barry was trying to get. This idea ends up being very short-lived because Barry realizes that Bob Hope is too loved. So he's like, they would be like knocking down my door before I even got the guy into the car. So Barry keeps thinking, and that's when he goes to get his haircut one day, and wouldn't you know it, there's a magazine in the barbershop, and smack dab on the cover is Frank Sinatra and Frank Sinatra Jr. with a big headline reading, "A chip off the old block." And this is where Barry's brain, still operating on a cocktail of painkillers, desperation, and a committee of the almighty, finally locks in on Frank Sinatra Jr. Because in Barry's mind, Jr. doesn't just fit the criteria, he is the criteria. At this time, Frank Sinatra Sr. was being investigated for connections to the mob, allegedly. And Barry decided this is actually helpful because if Frank Sr. is under investigation, if federal eyes are already poking around the Sinatra orbit, then obviously Frank Sr. would want this kidnapping resolved immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't want more people poking around. Yeah. He's also freaking Frank Sinatra, so he's definitely got the money. So that is Barry logic, but he is not done. Barry also remembers going to school with Nancy Sinatra. He says he used to party with her at the infamous Barron parties. Now, Nancy has publicly denied knowing him at all, which he kidnapped her brother, so like bros before bro nappers, right? But because he insists they crossed paths, he also insists he had some insight into the Sinatra family dynamic. He believed the Sinatra household was tense, that Frank Sr. was often absent, often volatile, and emotionally distant. And Barry, who's out here trying to save his own father by raising ransom money, becomes absolutely convinced that kidnapping Frank Sinatra Jr. might actually bring Frank Sr. and Jr. closer together.
Okay.
Barry,
You're welcome.
Barry is developing his own approach to family therapy.
It's like pat on the back for me.
You're welcome.
Spot in heaven for Barry.
So it's a win-win in his mind. Frank Jr. is going to get rescued. Sr. gets to be a hero. The Sinatra family reconciles. Barry pays off his debts. God's plan gets fulfilled, and everyone lives happily ever after. That is where Barry lands. This is the hill he chooses to die on. And I cannot stress this enough. Now he believes this is not only just a plan, but a moral obligation. He must.
Because he's bringing them together.
Yes.
Okay. Love how he spun that.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not about the money.
No. He's helping
Father,
families.
son.
Yep. So once Barry has fully convinced himself that this is a righteous, ethical, and divinely sanctioned crime, now he needs a team, which brings us straight back to the Barons. Because Barry Keenan is about to call in a favor from the high school fraternity group whose entire identity was built around one sacred rule: Barons help Barons. And God help them, they do. The first person Barry goes to is his best buddy from high school, his Baron brother, Dean Torrance. Dean Torrance from Jan and Dean, the massively famous surf rock duo. They are known for the hits such as Surf City.
Okay.
You know that one.
I don't know that one.
Yes, you do.
I was going to say your dad's going to be pissed.
Yes, you
Okay,
Can you give us a little...
Going to city, gonna have
Okay, I know that one.
Dean Torrance is in freaking Grammy Hall of Fame. So Barry shows up at his doorstep and is like, hey man, long time no see. Want to help me kidnap someone real quick? Dean is like, no, absolutely not. Howard, no. No, thank you. I'm famous. And then I imagine he just surfs on. So Barry moves on to his other Baron connections, and this brings him to his first real...
What are you going to say?
Oh, it was stupid. I just...
Funny.
I was just saying, I just imagine he surfs into the sunset to do hot famous people stuff. Moving on. This is a long story, so we got to keep on track here. Okay, so Barry goes back to his other Baron connections, and this brings him to his first real recruit, Joe Amsler. Joe is a genuinely sweet guy, very kind-hearted, and very golden retriever energy. He is absolutely not built for a felony, but Barry gets in touch with him and pulls him aside like, Joe, buddy, spiritual mission, divine purpose, Baron code, dollar bills. And poor Joe needs the money, so he's in. Next, Barry goes to John Irwin. No relation to Steve. But John was Barry's mom's ex-boyfriend who, on a whole other story, saved Barry's life during a misfortunate scuba diving accident. And they both kind of, for lack of a better phrase, floated around the bar scene and had this you saved my life connection. So John is in for the money and is also now the muscle that any heist group needs. Barry's Avengers have assembled. Barry, Joe, and John are ready, which is now where they get to attempt number 1, and they are ready to take their very first swing at abducting Frank Sinatra Jr. And guess where they do it?
I don't know.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So our boys, our Ocean's 3, roll into Phoenix with God's plan in hand. And the grand strategy is dress like the hotel staff, knock on Frank Jr.'s hotel room door, push their way inside, tie him up, drug him, and walk him out like he's a drunk friend who needs fresh air, then shove him in a car and drive off.
Solid.
They're like chef's kiss. So FSJ is performing at the Ramada Inn here in Phoenix.
The Ramada Inn.
The Ramada Inn. It was very
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It was very up and coming and chic back then. So they get to the Ramada, try to blend in as they head toward Frank Jr.'s floor, and immediately becomes clear that blending in is not a talent any of them possess. They are lingering far too long and being like, you knock, no, you knock. Then a housekeeper comes around the corner. She asks innocently if they need any help, and Barry's like, call it. And so they just like abandon it and scatter. But as I mentioned earlier, Barry always bounces back. So in his mind, Phoenix was just a dress rehearsal. This was not a failure, and that's when the committee gives him his next sign to execute his plan. Frank Sinatra Jr. announces a series of performances booked up in Lake Tahoe. So God's plan is not canceled, it's just on tour. Barry pulls Joe and John back together and they head up to Lake Tahoe. They rent a little place they can use as a hideout, and Barry's full-time job becomes casing Frank Jr.'s new venue, Harrah's South Lake Tahoe. Day after day, Barry goes into the casino and lounges, and he's just watching. He's figuring out the rhythm of Frank Jr.'s schedule, when he's on stage, when he eats, when he heads back to his room. Barry is timing everything, how long it takes Jr. to get from the showroom to his room, how long it would take him to get out of that room and off the property. Like he's
Stalking him?
Yeah. All the while, in Barry's mind, he's not plotting a crime, he's following instructions. He's got the committee, and he's got God on his shoulder telling him, good job, fella. But that brings us to the night of December 8th, 1963. And I swear to God, I picked this before I realized this is the anniversary of when they kidnapped Frank Sinatra
it's
Jr.
December 8th.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I wanted to do this story well before I realized that, so
It was God's plan.
it was God's plan. So tonight we're also celebrating. Anyway, so it's December 8th, 1963. Barry and his team are in position. Frank Sinatra Jr. finishes his show at Harrah's and heads upstairs with his friend and trumpet player, John Foss. Totally normal. Barry is in the hallway and just waiting for one thing to happen. Foss has to leave Junior's room. And when he finally does, Barry looks at Joe, gives the signal, and the two of them walk straight to the door. Barry knocks, Frank Jr. opens the door, and Barry and Joe push their way in immediately. They tell him he's being kidnapped. Frank Jr. at first thinks it's a joke, but Barry already has the rope and reveals a gun he has tucked in his waistband, and they start tying Jr. up. Then, right in the middle of this, the doorknob turns again. John Foss, Jr.'s trumpet player, comes back. He walks in, sees exactly what's happening, freezes, and just sits down.
Okay.
He's like, you got me.
I'm not even gonna fight it.
He's a
He just
little,
starts playing his trumpet.
I think he's a little too into getting tied up is what I thought. But so Barry and Joe tie him up too. Once both men are restrained, Barry turns to Foss. Now Foss is not part of the committee's divine blueprint, so Barry improvises. He gives Foss specific instructions. He says, give us 15 minutes to get your friend out of here, then you can untie yourself. Foss is like, yeah, sure. So Joe and Barry turn back to Frank Jr., throw some of Barry's pain pills down his throat, followed by some liquor. Then they take Frank Jr. down to the getaway car where our third idiot, John Irwin, is waiting. They shove Jr. in the back seat, incapacitated and subdued. That's when Barry realizes he has left his gun in the hotel room. Yeah. So he goes back upstairs, and it's been maybe like 5 minutes. He opens the door, and wouldn't you know it, Foss is fully free. He's
And
like,
has the gun.
no.
Oh.
He's like still kind of like untying himself, I guess.
Oh.
But Barry's like, dude, we said 15. So Barry grabs the gun, reties Foss, and is like, okay, 20 minutes now. Then he leaves again. So Barry finally gets himself, his gun, his dignity, and hustles back to the car. And now finally, Ocean's 3 is rolling out of Harrah's with Frank Sinatra Jr. passed out in the back seat. So they are driving away from Harrah's, heading down a snowy mountain, and Barry tells Joe and John that there are just simply too many people in the car. 4 guys driving together is a suspicious number. 2 people is safer. So he pulls over and tells Joe it's time to get out. He leans on this Baron connection that they have, and he says a Baron has a Baron's back. And Joe, who genuinely believes in that code, gets out of the car and starts running down the hill to make his own way back home. He
just gets out and books it.
Golden Retriever energy, I'm telling you. So as they get farther down the road, Barry sees a kidnapper's worst nightmare. In his rearview mirror, there are cop lights. He slows down, covers Junior in a blanket, and prays the cop might be a Baron. Ultimately, though, he's been pulled over for lack of chains on his tires, so he puts the chains on and the cop takes off. As the cop is pulling away, Barry sees a kidnapper's second worst nightmare in his rearview mirror, and it is someone running towards the car. But then I corrected myself because I was like, it actually would be scarier if someone's running away from a car if you're a kidnapper. Because then the person you kidnap might be escaping.
Oh, gotta check your back seat.
It's really funny when you have to explain the joke. At first, the shape running towards him is just a shape. But then he sees that the person is bleeding. The figure gets closer, reaches the car, opens the door, and climbs in. It's Joe.
The one who just booked it out of the car.
Mm-hmm. He had ran down the hill and ran straight into a pole.
Oh no.
So as soon as Barry had kicked Joe out, Joe just blindly apparently ran down the hill and ran directly into a pole. So he had busted his head open and then sprinted back up to catch up with Barry because apparently a Baron is also a Baron's ambulance. And because Barry still believes fewer visible people is better, he tells Joe, you've got to ride in the trunk. Joe, already clearly willing to do whatever Barry says, even sans head injury, willingly jumps in the trunk of the car. So now Barry, again, is driving with Frank Sinatra Jr. and Joe. Joe in the trunk, Sinatra Jr. in the back seat, still woozy, but slowly coming to. And this is the part Barry did not account for. Frank Sinatra Jr. becomes coherent. He realizes he's been kidnapped, he realizes he's in a moving car heading down a mountain, and he realizes something else. It is absolutely freezing. So they get to the bottom of the mountain. It's awkwardly silent, as it probably would be with kidnapper and kidnappee. Mm-hmm. And that's when Frank Jr. speaks up and says, hey, you might want to check on your friend in the trunk. It's really cold out. And so then Barry, who has organized this entire kidnapping with, in his mind, divine logic and high-level planning, forgot basic human body temperature, suddenly panics. He pulls over, pops the trunk, and poor Joe is shivering, bleeding, borderline hypothermic in the trunk of the car. Barry helps him out, gets him warm, and decides Joe can now ride in the actual car like a person. Now, the only reason he does this is because it's not humane, but because, if you recall God's plan, nobody was supposed to get hurt.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He split his head open.
Yeah. He's like, God damn it. Oh, we want to say that.
Oh.
So with everyone finally inside the car, conscious, upright, and no longer freezing to death, Barry turns the car south, heading towards the location he plans to end his heist, Los Angeles. So Barry drives to Los Angeles with the kidnapped Frank Sinatra in the back seat and Joe riding joyfully concussed beside him. And Barry has only one destination in mind. Barry had determined the safest place to take one of the most famous missing people in America is his ex-girlfriend Pam's apartment. Pam sounds trustworthy. I was like, finally, let's get a woman involved in this plan. So Pam opens the door middle of the night and sees Barry, jittery, frantic, talking a mile a minute, and behind him is a tied-up Sinatra, and behind that is Joe, sweet, loyal, concussed Joe. So Pam does the universal ex-girlfriend thing, and she's just like, Barry, what did you do?
Oh, so she didn't know he was
She
coming.
did not know.
Up to his usual BS.
Yeah. So there's no time to explain it. Sinatra Jr. needs a bed. Barry needs to make his ransom call. And Joe honestly just needs better friends. So before she can process anything, Barry's already moved Sinatra Jr. into her spare room. Now, meanwhile, back at the Sinatra household, Frank Sinatra Sr. is losing his goddamn mind. He is threatening to fly across the country, personally make the whole state of Nevada sleep with the fishes, allegedly, and possibly strangle the FBI for not giving him answers fast enough. Agents are swarming, phones are ringing, and immediately the Sinatra PR machine starts pushing out one message. Frank Sinatra Jr. is extremely brave. They will say this so many times that it becomes part of the permanent record, and the reason is simple, is that they do not want the Sinatra name smeared as weak or passive.
Okay.
So Barry's plan is already going down the hill because
Not what he thought.
But also remember that because it comes back later. Back in LA, while Frank Jr. is tied up in Pam's spare room and Joe is honestly just happy to be alive at this point, Barry knows it's time to do the one thing this entire operation hinges on: make the ransom call. So he finds a payphone and dials the Sinatra house. And on the other end of the phone, he gets Sinatra Sr. himself. Could you imagine?
No.
Never. So Barry keeps it simple. He tells him exactly what he needs, $240,000.
Mm-hmm.
Sinatra actually offers him more money, and he denies it.
Doesn't want to get on the bad side
Well,
of
he
God.
has to repay it at some point, too, so he's like thinking ahead. Okay, so Sinatra Sr. does not hesitate. He just says, tell me where. Here's the problem, though. So, he's like, tell me where you want to meet. I'll give you the money. But here is the issue, is Barry did not think that part through.
About meeting him up.
About meeting him up on where to exchange. So he freezes and says the only thing he can think of, he goes, I'll call you back.
He's like, okay.
He hangs up on Frank Sinatra.
How dare he?
So he takes a beat to think and lands on the fact that they should meet and exchange the money on a freeway overpass. So he calls Sinatra back, gives the instructions for the ransom drop, and then confidently goes to meet the FBI on this freeway overpass. He's going to meet them face to face because, remember, Barry did do research, and Barry knows the FBI will always deliver the ransom first when the victim's location is unknown. So he's walking up real confident.
This is how it's going to go down.
And the FBI will also not mess with the kidnappers for fear that there's a murder plan.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to mess with somebody if they don't know where the kidnapped person is.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So the cojones on this man, he hung up on Sinatra, then is going to straight up grab money from the FBI, knowing they have to give it to him because they don't know where Junior is. So he collects the cash, and now that he has the ransom, the only thing left is to release Frank Jr. Barry loads Jr. into the car, drives to a random neighborhood in Bel Air, pulls over on a quiet residential street, unties Jr. and tells him, stand still for 10 minutes. I don't know why this man keeps giving time frames because
people are gonna listen.
Yeah, it didn't work the first time.
It's not gonna work.
But he says, stand still for 10 minutes, then you can go. As he drives away, the FBI immediately swarms the scene. Within minutes, Frank Jr. is returned to his family. So while Frank Sinatra Jr. is being rushed back to his family, the FBI is officially in find the kidnappers now mode, and Barry is driving away from Bel Air with a very real oh shit moment kicking in. The FBI is absolutely 1000% coming for him. And what does Barry do with that information? He goes Christmas shopping.
Why wouldn't he?
Truly.
All that money.
He has $240,000 in ransom money, and instead of hiding, I don't
I
know.
love that he was gonna help his dad with his debt. He's like,
Yeah.
Christmas shopping.
Well, he thought, like, if I have all of this money and they're going to catch me anyways, I might as well get people presents.
Okay, I guess makes sense.
He also goes and puts money in a safety deposit box for his mom, pays off his debt at a local liquor store. In his mind, he is distributing blessings. He is fulfilling God's plan and holiday obligations at the same time. I said it's like Barry Christmas. So while Barry is out playing Santa Claus for the greater Los Angeles area, the FBI is doing actual detective work. They are interviewing Foss, Jr.'s trumpet player. They're talking to casino staff. They're tracking payphones, tracing license plates, basically interviewing anyone who might have seen anything in Tahoe. Finally, they track down Pam. Pam is not built for federal crime. She has been sitting in her apartment with the knowledge that Frank Sinatra's son was tied up in her spare room, just spiraling out of control. So when the FBI knocks on the door, she folds immediately and tells them everything. So now the FBI finally has their name, Barry Keenan. It all leads them straight to him the next morning. Barry is in his car, not hiding, not fleeing, just driving around like it's a normal Tuesday because, of course, in Barry world, it is. The FBI rolls up behind him. He pulls over instantly, doesn't argue, doesn't pretend he's innocent. He just says, like, yeah, I kind of figured you'd find me. They arrest him right there. Barry gets arrested, Joe gets arrested, John gets arrested, and suddenly this thing goes from chaotic three-man kidnapping to a full-blown national media event. Remember, they did not just kidnap any victim. This is Frank Sinatra's son, and Frank Sinatra Jr. wants blood. The FBI charges the trio with kidnapping, conspiracy, and basically every crime short of just being an absolute dumbass. And here's where the trial takes the world's most unexpected left turn. Barry's defense team decides their strategy is going to be Frank Sinatra Jr. helped us plan this kidnapping.
Oh. I mean, I can kind of see that. I feel like they do that with celebrity stuff.
Yeah. So they're saying Junior was in on it to jumpstart his career and go like get more public. Mm-hmm. It is insane. It is insulting. And Frank Sinatra Sr. basically combusts anytime anybody mentions this. So Senior's legal team goes nuclear. His PR team goes nuclear. The judge himself actually is offended by this. So, but because it's a defense, they're legally allowed to say it.
Yeah.
So suddenly the headlines are less kidnappers caught and more like, was Frank Jr. involved? And again, remember the PR line that we said was Frank Sinatra Jr. is extremely brave. Mm-hmm. That's why. It's because they
like they're trying to,
They were basically trying to beat the accusation that they knew was, like you said, like someone was going to come up with. Mm-hmm. Because in reality, there is zero evidence that Junior helped. He was terrified, humiliated, cold, tied up, drugged, and just trying not to die in the backseat of a car while a concussed man rolled around in the trunk. But Barry and the boys, they run with this story anyways because they have nothing else. The trial drags on, the media feasts, and Sinatra Sr. is reportedly threatening to sue, bury, or physically strangle anyone who repeats the theory.
Dang.
Yeah, he's pissed.
As he should be.
Eventually, the jury comes back. Barry is found guilty, Joe is found guilty, and John is found guilty. But this is the peak 1960s judicial system. Barry's plan technically avoided physical harm, and because Barry has now a documented mental health problem, which I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but with all the angels, schizophrenic. So Barry is actually sentenced to life, but only serves a few years. He gets released for good behavior, His own judge does a random tour of the jail that Barry was at and was so impressed and charmed by Barry, he decides that he's going to go back and give him a shorter sentence.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So Barry gets released, he gets sober, he invests in real estate, and becomes a millionaire.
From investing in real estate? Dang.
Because Barry always bounces back.
Sure does.
Frank Sinatra Jr. spends the rest of his career shaking off the rumor that he planned his own kidnapping. I can confirm this, that if you Google Frank Sinatra Jr. kidnapping today, the first thing is, did Frank Sinatra Jr. have something to do with his own kidnapping? So Frank Sinatra Sr. stays furious about it forever. Sweet, concussed Joe, he really was just a baron with a baron's back who got dragged into the strangest crime of the decade. But I would like to close with something we mentioned way back up at the top. Remember Barry's first stop, Dean Torrance of Jan and Dean?
Mm-hmm.
How could you forget? Your dad berated you for not knowing. So Dean, who took one look at Barry's want to kidnap someone pitch and immediately noped out of the room. Years later, after the kidnapping in the headlines, Dean is performing a show, just a regular gig, and in the audience is an up-and-coming young actor who is a big fan of surf rock, big fan of weird stories, and he has just landed his first major role in a little soap called General Hospital. After the set, Dean invites this actor on stage for the encore. They click instantly and they hang out backstage, and Dean goes, "Hey Stamos, I got a story for you." One of my buddies when I was younger once kidnapped Frank Sinatra Jr. So yes, Stamos, as in John Stamos, as in Uncle freaking Jesse.
What? Crazy.
And I swear this is true. John Stamos becomes so fascinated by this story that he later sits down with Barry Keenan himself. And that conversation is how we have the full, unfiltered, absolutely bonkers version of the crime today. So in a roundabout, deeply chaotic way, we owe the complete first-hand story of the Sinatra kidnapping to
Uncle Jesse.
Barry Keenan. Yes, Barry Keenan, Dean from Jan and Dean, and Uncle freaking Jesse.
Whoa.
I said, have mercy. And that is the story of the kidnapping of Frank Sinatra Jr.
That was crazy. There were a lot of twists in there. I did not see that coming.
There's
A lot of name drops.
so much more to it, too. I wish I could have involved. But yeah, that was one of my favorite things I've ever gotten to research.
That was one of my favorite stories you've ever told.
Thanks.
Well, that wraps up our show. So if you guys want to tell us any scary stories after, if you have anything, you can tell us after. And it'll be recorded for a listener stories episode.
Yep. And if you guys liked it, please make sure to follow us on any place that you stream podcasts. I've got something to tell you, or follow us on social media at IGSTTY pod. And if you don't want to tell us your stories tonight, you can always email us at igsttystories@gmail.com.
Nailed it.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.